Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Jimmy Butler believes Miami Heat need to be mentally stronger. The Miami Heat have had an unimpressive start to the 2024-25 NBA season, going 3-3 in their opening 6 games against a tricky slate. The generally unpredictable nature of the East means their record is good for the number 3 seed in the conference, but star Jimmy Butler didn't look content after their 110-111 loss to the Sacramento Kings on Monday. In his post-game press conference, Butler pointed at the team's mentality as an issue. "When we ain't making shots, that's normally when teams start to go on runs. We don't get back. We don't defensive rebound it. It is a defensive thing, but for us, it's more offense when we don't see that ball going through that basket. I think that mentally, we have to be stronger and tougher to get stopped still. And I think that's the main problem. That's what you see in the third quarter." Butler has had a rough start to the season himself, averaging 18.7 points, 5.0 rebounds, and 5.7 assists so far. The biggest issue for the Heat has been their complete lack of shape in third quarters, with most of their losses being explained away by third-quarter meltdowns. The Kings outscored the Heat by 20 points, 17-37, in the third quarter of their clash on Monday, eviscerating the 13-point lead the Heat carried into the second half. Their loss against the New York Knicks on October 30 saw them lose 107-116 and get outscored 22-35 in the third quarter of that game, blowing a 6-point halftime lead. Their opening night loss to the Orlando Magic saw the Heat suffer through an 18-39 third-quarter blowout. The only teams the Heat have had a positive third quarter against are the Charlotte Hornets and Washington Wizards, both wins for the franchise. Their 106-98 win over the Detroit Pistons saw the third-quarter trend in full effect, getting outscored 26-14 over that stretch. "We have clearly a talented Heat team competing right now, and they could have easily been 5-1 on a 5-game winning streak if they managed to be even remotely competitive in the third quarter of their losses to the Knicks and Kings." As for Jimmy Butler, he needs to find a way to elevate his play to prove to the Heat front office that he's worth the max contract extension he's eyeing next summer. If the season continues sputtering at a .500 rate for the Heat, there will be no incentive on Pat Riley's part to invest in extending a 35-year-old Butler on an expensive contract. The Heat will hope to brush off their loss to the Kings when they return to the court on Wednesday for a high-stakes matchup against the 6-1 Phoenix Suns, beginning a 6-game road trip for the franchise that could establish the Heat as a bona fide top-6 team or fighting for a play-in spot once again. Despite the positivity and hype from the offseason and during the Olympics, Miami Heat center Bam Adebayo has been underwhelming to start the season. And the Miami Heat have struggled against the Orlando Magic and New York Knicks because of it. Through 4 games, Adebayo is averaging 11 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 3 assists on 39.5% shooting and has missed all of his three-point attempts. There is a noticeable decrease in nearly every category from his last 5 seasons. His rebounds per game are the lowest since his second year in the league. Before this season, Adebayo has averaged at least 18.7 points over the last 4 years. "Obviously, we need to get the ball to Bam, too," Heat coach Erik Spoelstra said. "That's on me. I have to find a way. This is not about a new offense. This is about having all of our guys healthy. We have the most weapons that we have and we score 107 points. That's not what we're aiming for right now. Everybody has got to feel aggressive. They have to feel like themselves, and we'll get there. That's on me to get Bam in his spots where he can feel more comfortable." A vital reason for the struggles is he is primarily the 4th offensive option on the Heat. In previous years, Adebayo was the 3rd option behind Tyler Herro and Jimmy Butler. With the addition of Terry Rozier and the central core guys healthy, he has regressed significantly. Goran Dragic named $68 million guard as NBA's most underrated European player. Retired Miami Heat icon Goran Dragic is from Slovenia, leading him to take quite the interest in European basketball talent. The international strength in the NBA skyrocketed in recent years, with superstars Giannis Antetokounmpo, Greece, Luka Doncic, Slovenia, and Nikola Jokic, Serbia. These players with MVPs, championships, and scoring titles under the belt all receive serious amounts of praise. However, there's others from around the globe more than deserving of recognition. Dragic shared with Miami Heat on SI's Anthony Pasiala that Atlanta Hawks guard Bogdan Bogdanovic is the most underappreciated European talent. I'm not going to say Giannis, Luka, Jokic, because you have 2 MVPs and 2 guys that won NBA rings, Dragic said. I think Luka is good on his way to achieve that. But I'm going to say who really impresses me, and he's a good friend of mine, and I love watching him is Bogdan Bogdanovic, Dragic shared. I think his game is really underrated. He can shoot, he can create, you can put him in pick and rolls, he can play really well and he's shown that. Bogdanovic is sidelined with a hamstring injury after appearing in the Hawks season opener. He's expected to miss roughly a month. Fans have much to look forward to with his return, as he's coming off a season with career highs in points, 16.9, and steals, 1.2. Gambling website says Miami Heat would have to move Bam Adebayo to get Giannis. A gambling website gave the Miami Heat the best odds to land Milwaukee Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo before the trade deadline. Bookies.com listed the Heat with plus 400 odds to make a deal for Antetekounmpo. There is a catch, however. The website suggests the Heat would have to give up center Bam Adebayo. The Heat were knocked out of the playoffs last spring by the Celtics in round 1 after reaching the NBA Finals the previous season, wrote Adam Thompson of Bookies.com. Jimmy Butler is starting to play like someone whose time has expired in Miami. Talk of a Heat deal for Antetekounmpo often includes a third party. And the Heat would have to give up Bam Adebayo to get the freak. But Adebayo's off-season extension makes him an easy piece to move given his contractual stability. Antetokounmpo has reportedly let it be known that his preferred destination is Brooklyn, New York, or Golden State. There are other ways the Heat could acquire Antetokounmpo. CBS Sports Bill Ryder spoke with an anonymous NBA executive who believes the Heat are one of the 29-year-old's 2 preferred destinations. An Eastern Conference NBA executive has already heard the places believed to be Giannis would-be preferred destinations. The teams I've heard are Miami and New York, the Nets, not the Knicks, Ryder wrote. The Heat could offer a package potentially centered around Terry Rozier, Jamie Jaquez Jr., Nikola Jovic, and draft capital. The issue is there's a Western Conference contender that Ryder pointed out could trump the package of anyone else. There are also other teams with the means, in theory, to go after a player of Giannis' caliber. The Oklahoma City Thunder certainly come to mind, and I asked the Eastern Conference executive about the Thunder potentially making a run if Milwaukee's big man eventually wants out, Ryder wrote. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Antetokounmpo? Leave your opinion in the comments.